Once again, I'm joined by my friend, your friend, Super Bowl champ, Jim Monos. I need to start introducing you as a Super Bowl champ every time. That's my bad. You know, you should actually wear the ring from 2009, flashing on Real Football. Let the good folks know what it takes. You've been to the mountaintop, baby. Probably could have been there a few times with those Saints teams. But it's not like you were just, scouting in Antarctica either. In some faraway region looking at prospects that will never sniff a playoff game. You're in the Southeast. You're down there with Alabama, Georgia, and then you get promoted, director of personnel with the Buffalo Bills from May 13 to May 17. And we've got the great privilege of bringing all of our Go Long subscribers the well-cooked takes. Not too, don't want to overcook them. I never like my steak rare. If you like your steak rare, shame on you. If somebody listening or watching to this likes steak, I'm sorry, not rare. Jeez. If they like it cooked all the way through, that's what I meant. Yeah. Man, I'm not on my A game this morning. If they like it well done, you need to tell me why you like your steak well done, because I don't get it. It's got to be medium rare. Medium rare is the way to go. So that's where your takes are really broiling at, and we're very fortunate to have you, Jim. How's life?
Tyler, what's happening? We're playoff time, so life is good. How are you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, Real Football is going to finally discuss some very real football.
Real football.
I know we were just, blabbing before hitting record on all these fake football games in week 18 and second and third and fourth stringers at quarterback, just kind of playing out the string. So yeah, we don't need to dwell on all of that.
No,
these games are awesome. I love Wild Card Weekend. Like, is there a wild card memory as a kid that pops to mind for you? I feel like crazy shit always goes down this first playoff round.
Tyler, it's hard for me to remember the differences between wild card games, the next round. And I'm saying this as a spoiled employee for the Philadelphia Eagles and New Orleans Saints. I'd have to go back and look at each game to see which game was an actual wild card, because you just start. They kind of run together, the playoff games. I don't rethink the Philadelphia game with Freddie Mitchell had that fourth down, the 4th and 26, the famous catch.
Oh yeah,
that's always a memory I will have as a scout for the Philadelphia Eagles, because they gave me the hard assignment of scouting the college all-star game that was in Las Vegas that year. So I had the tough assignment of going to Vegas. So I had to watch the game, as an area scout, you don't go to the games anyway, for your team. So, you watch the game on TV, but it's not the same because you're so invested and it's your heart, it's everything. So I watched the game in a hotel room in Vegas, the 4th and 26 play, the Freddie Mitchell, I mean, we can get into, that's another pod for,
Fred X.
There it is. And that's a pod when we get Brian Westbrook on, who he did say he will do our pod whenever we're ready for him. That could be if the Eagles make a run here too. But remind me, we will talk Westbrook and Freddie Mitchell. But that is a playoff memory. When he made that catch, that's when I felt like a kid. Here I am as a full-time area scout for the Philadelphia Eagles, but I felt like a kid when he made that catch. I mean, I was jumping around, and I'm in Vegas, so there was a lot going on that I was excited. There's a lot of good feelings, right? When you're in Vegas. So anyway, that's one of my memories as a young area scout in the playoffs. Tough assignment. Had to go to Vegas to scout an all-star game.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I feel bad for you on that one. As a single young scout with no responsibilities in the world, running around Vegas. You know what? That game, man, that's a game you'd never see in 2026 now. Because obviously 4th and 26. You remember that play and that moment and the awful coverage and how in the hell did Green Bay let this happen? But what sticks with me, I'm going to pull up the play-by-play because I gotta find exactly what this happened.
Yeah, you probably have that thing broken down.
Oh yeah, that was still the Packer fandom as a kid. I think I was maybe a sophomore in high school, 23, sophomore, junior. They were just blasting the Eagles with Amon Green and Najee Davenport in this game. They finished with
they were nasty.
Got it. Yeah. Amon Green had 156 yards on 25 carries. Davenport had 42. And they refused to go for it on 4th and short late in that game. I'm going to find the exact spot here.
Tyler, we talked about this on one of our podcasts before about how when we rewatch or you look back on games, it is unbelievable to see how teams were sprinting to the sideline to kick a field goal or punt the ball.
Yes.
Like sprinting.
4th and 1 at the Philly 41.
That's just...
With 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, and you're up 17-14. You don't run the ball. You don't run it. I mean, I'm sure Mike Sherman, it's got to haunt him to this day.
By far, that is
not going for it there.
What you just uncovered right there is my favorite thing I've ever heard about that 4th and 26 game. I cannot wait after this podcast to text my former colleagues with the Eagles to say, can you believe they had a 4th and 1? What was the punt?
4th and 1, and it was Josh Bidwell.
How long did it say? How long was it? Even like, did it go in the end zone? Was it?
It was a touch. It was a touchback. Oh. Yeah, touchback. So Philly gets the ball with 2:21 at their own 20. Deuce Staley immediately runs for 22 yards, but yeah, so that's right. And then Bao Zhu sacks Donovan McNabb. Incomplete to Chad Lewis.
Good recall. I mean, good.
And there it is.
Play-by-play.
4th and 26. But I think earlier in the game, I think Green Bay went for it and they got stuffed, and Sherman was a little spooked.
Yeah, spooked.
And then they had another chance down there, and they did a chip shot field goal. It was just no consistency. That's why you need an identity. Either you're like conservative, kicking all the time, or you're Dan Campbell and you're going for it and you know who you are. You cannot
know who you
are. Hey, you can't be half pregnant, as Rex Ryan once said in his Buffalo days. That was an all-time quote that offseason. That was fun. But yeah, that was a tough one, and
classic.
That was a good. It wasn't a wild card game. I guess that was a divisional playoff.
That got us that got Philly to the champion. I was thinking about when we talked. Yeah.
Still though, it's going to be fun. There's some great games.
Okay, one last one. Then you can tell me: was the Brett Favre throw against the Detroit Lions the craziest throw ever that I saw Favre make? Was that a wild card game by any chance?
Absolutely.
There you go.
That was a wild card in the Silver Dome. You've got the Packers play-by-play man. Or maybe it was Max McGee doing the color. Run it, Brett. Run it. He could have ran it, like as he's rolling left, and then flips the hips, chucks it deep to Sterling Sharp. I've got to find it. I did that podcast with Brett a couple of years ago, and we dove deep into that game, and he took everybody through it, and it was wild. Looking back at how everybody's people are lined up in the wrong spot, of course, like with Favre in that offense. It's just total chaos, but he thrived in the chaos and just chucks it deep. So that's up there. The Music City Miracle, who can forget that locally? That Buffalo team. I remember doing an oral history on that game at the Buffalo News and catching up with everybody, and from Bruce DeHaven, God rest his soul, special teams coordinator, John Holacek, Rob Johnson, Eric Molds, Steve Christie, Blaine Bishop. I think I got Kevin Dyson, Frank Wycheck. Crazy. I mean, that game, that Bills-Titans game, before it, players are talking to each other like whoever wins this game is going to the Super Bowl. They really felt that. The Bills had maybe the best defense in football. They had the Flutie Rob Johnson controversy. I will die on the Rob Johnson hill. I loved it. Hey, I don't care who made the call, whether it was Ralph Wilson, Wade Phillips. Give me Rob, baby. And you know why? Because he's just really cool. Yeah, it's biased. I don't care. He's one of the coolest people I've ever met, Jim. He's like Tony from Seinfeld.
Oh, cool, Tony.
The mountain climber. They look just like each other.
That's a good one. Is Flutie not cool to you?
I think that Flutie's just a little full of shit. You talk to some players and people that were in that locker room. Yes, they won with him. He had a way to rally the team. And speaking of rich stadium memories, I was at that game with my dad when they beat Jacksonville. Flutie mania is in the air. The future of the Bills, nobody knows what's going to happen. And I mean, he saved the Bills in many regards, but I think that over time, narratives get massaged and spun, and the Flutie that is portrayed publicly isn't exactly the Flutie internally, the leader, the quarterback. And I love the fact that there's still bad blood there. We've had Rob Johnson on the podcast, and you can hear it in his voice. They couldn't stand each other. They still can't. And yeah, like Rob Johnson had his fault. He took way too many sacks. Didn't live up to the contract, didn't live up to the trade, but he was way tougher than people remember. And he had the big arm. He was mobile. He had that big game against the Colts, a Super Bowl contender that was playing their guys. Hey, if Flutie wasn't good that second year, Flutie was very good the first year. The second year, he was not. Look at the numbers. They were winning with their defense. So you can kind of see logic there. Okay, let's pair. I think John Holochek made this point. Let's pair this defense blowing people up with this quarterback with this big arm. Maybe that's what could go on a Super Bowl wrong. It didn't. He could have been a legend. Shoeless Rob Johnson, the drive before, leading to a field goal drive, managed to run around without his cleat, make a play. But yeah, that's hey, speaking of takes, cooked a little too much. Maybe that is overdone. I don't care. Give me Rob Johnson over Doug Flutie every day of the week. You're shaking your head.
Have you ever asked any receivers that played with? I would think as a scout, Flutie's not my style at all, and as a player, he wouldn't be my style either. I would think receivers hated it, but I was just curious.
I think there is some of that, but
you're going to get some big
Eric
plays.
Moulds, he did like Flutie because it kind of became backyard football in a way.
Plays, yeah.
They'd kind of go up to the line and he'd just be doing signals and drawing stuff up as it'd go. It was a little more free spirited, I suppose. There was something to the Flutie magic. I mean, they won a lot of games, but revisionist history is my point. 98 was a hell of a lot different than 99 Flutie. And that's a wild card memory, lateral or not. Mm-hmm. So these games, when it went down, we saw the seedings and we saw the matchups. What immediately popped to the forefront of your brain, Jim Onis?
I'm solely focused on Josh Allen so much that I think my focus was, wow, when you actually see the bracket, there's no Mahomes, there's no Lamar, and there's no Burrow. That's all I see when I see the AFC bracket. I can't help. I see Buffalo and a bunch of happy guys knocking on doors. Hey, nice to meet you. I'm the salesman from so-and-so. My name's CJ Stroud. I'm salesman Bo Nix. Guess who's rough and rugged? Who's the top salesman, the top dog that's looking at all these young bucks saying, now we're ready to play? And that's Josh Allen and the Bills. So that's what I see in the AFC. The NFC, I see Matt Stafford, man. That Rams team is so good. I don't know if we really – I like to speak now about really – because now we have a full sample size. We have the full – and we're in the real season. This Carolina team stinks, so we're going to talk about it. But this Rams team is legit. And so I would love to see where I'm at is a Rams-Bills Super Bowl. That's what I want, Tyler.
I love the take, as always. Yeah, I think we're sleeping on the Rams. They were the best team in football for most of this season. I mean, some inexplicable losses that Falcons came to lose that. It hurts you. You're not playing at home. But what is home for the Rams? They have no home field advantage. They really don't have many fans at all. So it doesn't matter.
No. What I will say, you don't want to have to go to Carolina on the road. Like that
what a dumb rule.
We're going to talk about it. But
that the Rams have to play at Carolina.
It's almost like – so basically it's like of all the things that could mess you up, a bad weather game in Carolina could get you. But – you know how I feel about that. I can't stand when weather comes into play. But anyway, we'll get into that when we talk about the game. So Rams, Bills would be and you'd be happy with that. Or maybe not. You might not.
I'm with you on the Buffalo Bills. Let's start there, Jim.
Let's do it.
You've got the Bills background. We always feel this magnetic pull back to discussing all things Buffalo Bills. And yeah, I had the same thought. Now, Jacksonville, they've got a strong roster. They can stop the run. Trevor Lawrence, after some fragile beginnings, seems to be the quarterback that Liam Cohen wants for now. They've got a good thing working. Jacoby Myers. Did you notice that Sean McDermott brought that up? I think it was on the radio this week, pointing out how big of an addition that was. He really liked that for Jacksonville. Not sure if that was a dig to his own front office. And I'm going to write about this week in a column. Okay. And we may disagree, Jim Monos, on this. I think the talent on the Bills roster is being woefully underestimated. I think they've got the talent to win in Jacksonville. They've got the talent to win in Denver. They've got the talent to beat anybody. I mean, it's as true as it was a month ago when we discussed it. The two scariest teams in this conference to me, Buffalo, Houston. And the Bills had those turnovers in Houston. They really should have won that game in their personal house of horrors. As bad as they played. I mean, they gave up 12 quarterback hits, 8 sacks. It's hard to sack Josh Allen 8 times, by the way. 6'5", 240 to bring. Look, the receivers, we could discuss the receivers for hours, and it would be justified. If you're reaching into the Kmart bin for Brandon Cooks, not ideal. When your top pick 2 years ago, Keon Coleman, is in the doghouse. Clearly he's in the doghouse. You said they should cut him a while back. I mean, he's not even getting on the field. Sean McDermott has had enough of him. That's not ideal. But if you look at the numbers, and you always have those numbers at the ready, whatever it is. James Cook led the league in rushing. That means something.
They drafted
this offensive line. They drafted him, right? And Khalil Shakir, he can make plays down the field. Maybe that's a Joe Brady thing. The receiver screens. Look, that stat was kind of making the rounds that like no team throws shorter of the sticks more than Buffalo, but they convert a lot of those. You know, there's also that stat. I'd like to see Khalil Shakir used down the field more. You mentioned the Bills Rams as a potential Super Bowl matchup. Remember that game recently where just last year? I mean, Shakir's making plays down the field. He's got it in him. They used the tight ends, Kincaid, Knox, Hawes. You got 3 of them at your disposal. They throw to the backs. Ty Johnson, maybe one of the best receiving backs in football when they use them. And you can cobble enough together with your pass catching options, with the best ground game in football and one of the better offensive lines. And oh, by the way, the reigning MVP who can throw the team on his back any given moment. All you need, I mean, to me, the conversation, it's the same conversation. It's the defense. You get into January, can you get a stop? Can you get one stop, one turnover? When that has been the problem. And that is why you go out and you draft 5 defensive players in a row and you sign all of these defensive players. And if you're Brandon Beane, you're thinking, man, I'm giving you more options. You know, Michael Hoyt, that's unfortunate. Pops his Achilles. He was showing a lot in a couple games against your Panthers and the Chiefs. But Joey Bosa's been forcing fumbles. He still has a little more juice to him. Larry Ogunjobi's in the mix. I don't know. Maybe TJ Sanders gives you something. Deion Walker. Somebody just has to make a play. Bat a ball that gets tipped off. Do something. This doesn't have to be a dominant defense. But the problem has never been Josh Allen in the playoffs. That is the dumbest narrative going. I mean, I think it was the MGM gambling account. There you go. There's your stupid gambling companies, spamming everybody with nonsense. Let me pull it up here. I think I responded.
Tyler.
Because that's going to be the hot thing. Yeah. BetMGM says Lamar missing the playoffs, Mahomes missing the playoffs, Burrow missing the playoffs. Josh Allen, you have no more excuses. Well, what has Josh Allen done in his 13 playoff games? He's completed 65.7% of his passes for 3,359 yards, 25 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's rushed for 668 and 7 more touchdowns. Like, the problem has never been Josh Allen and the offense. I mean, if you want to nitpick that Cincinnati game in the snow, fine. But guess what? Then they evolved and they've tried to kind of mold this offense into something that can play in those conditions and run the ball to the GM's credit, to the head coach's credit, however that came to be. It's always been about January. It's never been about Atlanta in the regular season, Miami in the regular season, whatever. However you got there, you're there. I love Josh Allen. I love James Cook, this offensive line. And if you can just steal a few possessions on defense, Buffalo's in the Super Bowl in Santa Clara.
Okay, I like where you're at. Super Bowl sounds good to me for the Bills. Let's stick to Jacksonville right now. Where I'm going to pay attention to is the Jacksonville Jaguars offense is ranked 19th in third down conversions. That's garbage. The Bills are 4th in third down defense. Look, let me take that back. The Bills are 4th in third down offense in conversions. I apologize. What I'm saying, this Bills offense is so loaded, to your point. The talent, where I struggle with talent for Buffalo, is on the defense. I don't see the talent. I don't think there's a guy that's going to be, I think to your point, it's going to be a bunch of different players on defense. They're going to have a good game against Jacksonville, and then next week have a good game against whoever. And then next week it's going to be somebody else. That's how I see the Bills defense getting by right now. Somebody different every week with Sean McDermott leading the way with his, Sean's only lived in the playoffs his whole career. Don't forget when Sean McDermott started, he was Andy Reid's assistant when I was the Northeast area scout. We were in the NFC Championship every single year in Philly. So Sean McDermott has only come up knowing to play in championship games. When he was in Carolina as the coordinator, they made their run. He had a good run. I think he had a nice, I don't know what they did in Denver when he was out there. But anyway, point being is Sean has been around plenty of postseasons, and it's time. I think they all know it. It's never that easy. Every game, it could be a shootout every game. We don't know yet. But the Bills are built to win shootouts. They can win shootouts. Doesn't bother me. You have the top dog running back and top dog quarterback.
That's why I love the decision to go for 2, win the game.
Oh, yeah.
Love the aggressiveness on fourth downs.
Love it.
They should be operating in that mindset of
could do it every time. Agree.
Go for it. Midfield, go for it.
Go for it.
Hell, if you're at your own 35, go for it.
Go for it.
I do think it helps that Andy Reid isn't in the playoffs for Sean McDermott. We talk about Patrick Mahomes, and it certainly helps that the greatest player of a generation isn't in there, and Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. But I'm telling you, Jim, it's real. It's real. I've chatted to people who have been around Sean McDermott, and he has evolved for good in some substantial ways with how he calls games. Like, winning helps, but I think the winning has helped him loosen up, especially this past season. We talked about it in his office. At the same time, like, something about Andy Reid does make him tighten up, and has in the playoffs. It's not coming from me. It's coming from people in that building. So he's not there. His old boss that fired him isn't there. His old quarterback that he didn't draft, that we've talked about a million times over, he's not there. Psychologically, there is something there. How do you quantify it? I don't know, but it bears repeating. In 40 non-kneel down drives, in all of these playoff losses since 2019, not counting the Deshaun Watson comeback game. So it's what, 3 Mahomes and 1 Burrow? No, 4 Mahomes and 1 Burrow. Sorry about that. 40 non-kneel down drives, 22 touchdowns allowed, 9 field goals. You force only 8 punts. 1 missed field goal in there. You create 2 turnovers, 166 points allowed. That's 4.15 points per non-kneel down drive, and 4 playoff losses to Mahomes, 1 to Burrow. Something about that matchup just psychs out this team, psychs out this defense. They can't get the stops. They can't create the turnovers. So different players out there. And Bill Polian, we talked about this a couple of years ago. It's a similar situation with those Colts, with Peyton Manning trying to overcome Tom Brady and the Patriots, trying to get to the Super Bowl and win it. They had to get new blood in there. And that offseason before 2006, they drafted some different players, signed some different players, and it wasn't a great defense, but they found a way to get the stops when they needed to. So yeah, they beat the Chiefs in the wild card 23-8, beat the Ravens 15-6, and then they had the shootout game against the Patriots before beating the Bears. But Peyton Manning, it's not like he was lighting it up in the postseason, threw 3 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. So he had some help on defense. Aaron Rodgers had some help on defense in 2010. Drew Brees, as you know, he had some help on defense in 2009. As amazing as Drew Brees was, maybe you can speak to that, Jim. Like, the Saints defense stepped up big time. I mean, that NFC Championship game, all those Adrian Peterson turnovers, and then Tracy Porter picking out Favre, and then Tracy Porter in the Super Bowl. Like, you had that Saints defense was opportunistic in a way. This Bills defense needs to be opportunistic for their quarterback right now.
Now you got me excited, too fired up early in the morning, Tyler. I'm ready to play a game right now. You got me thinking about, you brought up some good names, Tracy Porter. Those teams were special. And it's why I always say, for me personally, when I would personally build a team, it's quarterback and defense. Takeaways. That Saints team, we took the ball away because we dictated to other teams, because we would score early in the first half. The other teams had to throw the ball. We knew it. The dogs are rushing. Playmakers make plays on the back end. That is the ideal setup to me in the NFL. It's how the league is built. It's built for you to come out and score points early. The defenses are at a disadvantage to cover you. Throw the ball, go down the field and score, get the lead. Let Eddie Pressures go ahead and guess right and get some pass rushes, what he does best, and cause a turnover. That's what the Bills need to get back to. And I'm saying that passionately because this is their time. This is it. And everybody knows it now. We talked about this months. I saw it come. We saw it coming that all these quarterbacks were going to miss the playoffs. And here it is. I don't care about any of the 8 sacks against Houston, and the regular season doesn't matter. There's going to be bad games. How many times what do I always say? Get the win and get out of there. Don't even analyze the film. Just get that W and keep it moving. Get healthy and get to the playoffs.
I could not agree more. That's what it's been about for this team since 2020. It's been about January. I think we tend to forget that. The off season is so long, and then the regular season is so long, and we're all hosting podcasts and we're all writing stories, and we have all this time and all this embrace debate, and it's just the nature of the beast in 2025, 2026. So I understand the hand wringing over the roster construction, and it's obviously Brandon Beane fed into it when he spoke out about the wide receivers after the draft and was passionate about it on local radio. And then you got the reports that they were exploring Waddle, and I'm sure they probably called the Jets, and they were looking around for receivers. So that is a thing. I mean, if you're scrambling to pick up Brandon Cooks, I mean, he made a big play recently, I guess. Maybe he does give you some speed, a speed element. It's a thing, but I feel like it's more of a maybe not a footnote, but if you're going to power rank the things we're talking about with the Bills, it's somewhere near the bottom, because you've got Josh Allen, you've got the best running back arguably in football, you've got a damn good offensive line, you're scoring points, you're moving the ball, and if it's always about January, it's about the playoffs. It's about somehow getting that stop, creating that turnover, doing something so Josh Allen doesn't have to carry the offense on his back every single time. Otherwise, he's Dan Marino. I mean, pick Dan Fouts. I don't know. Throw some other quarterback names out there, guys who didn't have that help. I think you are helping your quarterback by addressing the defense. Whether it works out or not, we'll see. I mean, now it's time. I think that you have to try on that side of the ball. I'm sure if like the Miami Dolphins could go back in time with what they did around Dan Marino, they probably do things a little differently, right? Like they get him a ring, build up a defense, build up a run game. Try. Look, the Bills have tried the spread it out thing, and the head coach blew it in 13 seconds. I'm sorry, like that's a team that should have won the Super Bowl. to give up those 2 plays in 13 seconds. That should be game over. You're hosting the AFC Championship game. Love Cincinnati. Love the swagger. They were cocky as hell. It was fun driving down there and talking to those guys those 2 years. The Bills win that game at home. And then you're beating the Rams in the Super Bowl. That was a boring game for the most part. Those are missing rings. Maybe this is a team that should have 2 rings by now. But anyways, the point being, it's always been about the defense. It's always been about getting those stops. Whoever it is, somebody's got to make a play.
So that's what I want to go back to this game against Jacksonville. What we can pay attention to for the defense to take some positives is, like I said, get off the field on 3rd down. 19th ranked, that's bad. Get off the field. Here's the other stat that's interesting. Yards per play on offense for the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're 18th. That's not good offense. Like 18th in yards per play, 19th in 3rd down conversions. There's some smoke and mirror going on that offense. I'm just telling you. This is a chance for the Bills defense to get right a little bit, make some plays. Because we know the Jags defense is tough. This game could be this is going to be, every game for the Bills is going to be hard. Let's not get worked up. And this goes back. Just get the win and advance. We're in that mode right now. Don't beat yourself. Get off the field on 3rd downs and don't beat yourself. That's what I'm paying attention to.
When you say that they're using some smoke and mirrors, what kind of stuff has Jacksonville been doing?
So we know it's Trevor's
to overcome that.
So Trevor's best year. I think they're getting some turnovers and taking advantage of those turnovers. And Trevor Lawrence has been lights out. He's made big plays, highlight games. I wrote about the one week he had 5 touchdowns against so-and-so. That's a great stat builder. It's a fake game. So yeah, those are nice for the stats. But then when you dive deep and study the stats, like I like to say, and I see 18th in yards per play and 19th on 3rd down conversions, that's not adding up to a big-time offense. That means you're opportunistic as an offense. You're making some plays to score points, and they have playmakers. Let's go back. I didn't get a chance to talk to you about the receiver, Myers, that Jacksonville has. That was interesting how Sean did bring him up a little bit. That almost sounded like one of those free agent or draft meetings that there was a debate. And now I'm just bringing this up for everybody that was in that debate. I like that player. We wanted him.
Was that stuff happening publicly, back when you were running the show in the front office? Would Rex say stuff in press conferences to take a little dig at you and Doug?
No, Rex never did. Rex was nobody.
Okay.
I would say this. No, I can't remember any coach taking digs like that or saying, I'd have to think about it, saying so-and-so looks good. Or I think about Coach.
When Rex left, though, he was talking shit, I remember.
Then he does. I mean, that's fine. I mean, we all do. A lot of people, a lot of good, a lot of bad in those years. I mean, that we could get into all that some other time. That's for another pod. But I'm telling you, when I look at that team, those especially those years with Tyrod, we had some really, really good football players on that team. We just didn't have a great team. We had just a lot of accumulated talent. And that's what we did as a GM. I'm proud of that Doug Whaley, myself, and all the scouts, some are still there for the Bills. We did a good job in the front office getting talent. We didn't put together a team to sustain success. That's the bottom line.
I'm laughing on just the messaging, because it was 2 minutes after Kevin Stefanski's firing is news. Mm-hmm. Immediately it's leaked that he didn't want Deshaun Watson, right? That he didn't have anything to do with that. It's he was just dying to get that out there.
We all knew it.
Waited until he was out.
Knew it. I mean, that's
yeah.
That's the hard part. Owners at the end of the day, and it's why we always talk about when we talk about the whole with Terry Pagula and the Patrick Mahomes thing, where he could have easily taken Mahomes and overstepped like a lot of owners do, but he did not, and he got rewarded for it. He really did. I mean, Terry got rewarded, and you'd like to, the Colts are about to go through it. Their owner, she just put the GM and coach on blast, it's time to win. They're out. That's you guys have. I mean, they should be out anyway, but you have 1 year to win. That's not fun. And the AFC and no quarterback, and then the Browns. I mean, the owners want it. This guy is. I don't know how. How are you going to win there? I don't know. real quick before we go on to these games, it made me think of this with the Browns. If you don't think there's a more, all these head coaching candidates and names that get thrown around, there is one man that should be a head coach of an NFL football team. He's probably the best coach going right now in football. It's Jim Schwartz. And that's it.
It must be in my brain. I literally just wrote his name down. There's the proof, Jim Schwartz, because I wanted to bring something up in this whole front office, like finding talent, coaches using that talent debate. And I'm not just saying this because you're the co-host of Real Football here at Go Long, and we have become good pals. I wrote it then on the beat at the Buffalo News and talked to these defensive players week in and week out. I mean, you could see it as early as training camp. I mean, Preston Brown, the inside linebacker making all the calls. I mean, he's like the nicest, most gentile personality at linebacker that you can probably find. Just a good dude. We had him on a happy hour last year, and he got into this all. But he was like, man, I'm staying up all night trying to learn this defense. Like the checks on checks on checks, like whatever the offense puts on the field, Rex has a check for it. And it's a strength, right? Like you've got the ability to match whatever the offense puts out there. So he's staying up until 1, 2 a.m. during camp trying to learn this all on the fly. And this is all on the heels of the Jim Schwartz 2014 Bills defense leading the NFL in sacks, making the league MVP Aaron Rodgers look like TJ Rubley. I always pick on poor Rubes. Trying to think of an old poor fella. He looked bad. I mean, your defense beat him up. Now, granted, Jordy Nelson did drop a touchdown that game.
Fair.
Can't forget that one.
Fair point.
Changed things. But Marcus Thigpen had the punt return for a touchdown, and that Bills defense got after. That Bills defense that you and Doug built personnel-wise got after Rodgers, got after Peyton Manning, right? Like in 2014, he still has it with Denver. So it was what Jim Schwartz created. And it's all, encourage everybody, if you have the chance, part 1 of my Texans series, I get into all of this. Matt Burke, the D coordinator, came up under Jim Schwartz. The first decade of his coaching career, he was with Schwartz in Tennessee, in Detroit. And Schwartz, to your point, he is the one who ruled out that front with the 9 techs at DN, the defensive tackles, letting them eat. Right? You're not just hugging an offensive lineman and kind of going down the line and reading stuff or eating up players or, God forbid, dropping back into coverage. I mean, that's the stuff that Rex did. Marcel Darius dropping into coverage at Kansas City. Mario Williams is bitching about the defense early. I mean, I think it was like that Cincinnati game before you guys flew to London. We're talking to Mario. I mean, he hates it. And yeah, it's like part of it is you are employed by the Bills. You got to do what you're told, all of that. But I get it. I get it. Like in 2014, you're one of the best defenses in football. Rex is asking you to do all these different things. There's 2 types of defensive coaches. There's the X and O wizard who tries to confuse the hell out of quarterbacks, and the coach who prefers a room full of natural born killers, right? Like the first one can work. You can be Brian Flores and deceive and deceit and disguise and if your guys know how to run it, it can be beautiful. I mean, like those old Ravens teams that Rex had. That's what Rex would always say. I've seen it work. It works. Trust me. But I don't know, man. Like your defensive player, see ball, get ball, point A to point B. I'm better than you. That's what the Texans have. It's one-on-one matchups across the board. They genuinely believe it doesn't matter who they play. They're just going to kick your ass. And it seemed like your front office found those kind of players. Then you bring Rex in, and it was oil and water. And I think that happens a lot throughout the NFL. It's got to be synced up. You talk about it all the time, Jim.
That's really what it was. It was just too much patchwork GMing and coaching going on. It was just this year's this, next year's different, next year's different. Every year was different. It was too hard to get any type of, sustained anything. But Schwartz, let me give Buddy Nix before Doug Whaley too. He was a big part of drafting Marcel, Kyle Williams.
Yes, good point.
He had a big part of this. There was some Buddy Nix.
Let's give Buddy Nix his flowers.
I do. Buddy Nix, we always talk about it. That guy is an all-time evaluator of talent, in my opinion. He's a Hall of Fame type, evaluator, scout, all that history. Just the EJ thing was tough. Tough way to go out for a guy, but we all have. Hey, that's all of us.
Just delivering you a franchise quarterback. I don't know what your
But
problem
Schwartz,
is.
the other thing with Schwartz, what he did this year. Please look at the box score of this game they just won against Cincinnati. Look at Shedeur Sanders, how bad he is, and they just won, and they just beat possibly one of the best quarterbacks and offenses in the NFL. They humiliated Cincinnati's offense. Like they made them work for every yard to the point where Cleveland, Schwartz had to somehow get 2 defensive touchdowns and win a pointless game. Like that is a big time coaching effort for that defense to buy in the whole year like they did. They never gave up. They went and beat everybody they had to. They made everybody work. Obviously they have Garrett, but who cares? Everybody has great players. I mean, he's different, obviously. Jim Schwartz, the other thing, as an evaluator of talent, he was unbelievable to work with. He compared Khalil Mack. He thought he was the closest thing he had seen to Lawrence Taylor in our draft meetings. And it makes me sick because, that was a guy we could have had or gone up to get. And Schwartz would have been fine with that. I think some other people on our staff, wink, wink, would have been okay with taking him too. But at the time, defensive end was not a priority. And that is true. It was not. We had Jerry Hughes. We had Mario. Our D-line was loaded. So, that wasn't priority at the time. It was building around the quarterback, give EJ some weapons. Wrong philosophy.
God dang.
Anyway, I know. Went on a tangent there. But Schwartz identified, he is what you want as a head coach. He can identify talent. He can coach it. He can teach it, all of it.
Yeah, hopefully other GMs are watching this podcast to learn that valuable lesson, right? Like just everybody says we took the best player available. Live it. You had Mario Williams, $100 million man.
Doesn't matter.
You had Kyle Williams inside, Marcel Darius inside, Jerry Hughes in his prime.
Yeah.
Right. So I get it. Like it wasn't a need.
But
I can remember covering the draft in Green Bay when that trade was made and sitting in that auditorium and thinking, oh, of course, here, because part of me, being pessimistic, like, oh, of course, the Bills are going to take the guy in the backyard. They're going to take the UB player, Khalil Mack. And in retrospect, that would have been. But Sammy would. Oh, we've talked about that a million times. We don't have to dwell, but people should remember, like Sammy was the can't miss guy too, out of college with what he did at Clemson.
Well, lesson learned for all of us, and we knew it in the draft class when that draft was too loaded at receiver to trade up for one.
Yeah,
but
it's like you're drafting EJ Manuel again by drafting Sammy Watkins. You're doubling down.
So anyway,
in a way,
that was we went basically that the Bills Jags somehow led to Jim Schwartz to be a head coach. But
I'm Jim Schwartz though. Let's remember that's such a good point to appreciate what he was able to do because, you have everything he did in Tennessee building this defense. Really, he came up with that front. You get to the Lions, you got to Dominican Sue, you're pissing everybody off, right? Like they crossed a few lines or two. But then Buffalo, one of the best defenses in the league. Then Philly inherits one of the worst defenses, makes him one of the best, wins the Super Bowl against Tom Brady, all sorts of sacks, all sorts of big plays. Gets to, where was he after that? Did he get right to Cleveland after that? Yeah. Went right to Cleveland to the number one defense in 2023, and now you got the NFL sack king and Myles Garrett. So, well, whatever he's paid, it's not enough. And, there was a quote here from Matt Burke that I think it just rings so true. Like all coordinators, all head coaches should live this way. On Sundays, I try to be as unobtrusive as possible. That's their day. That's the player's day. That's how I was raised in this league. D'Amico is a former player. We prep them all week, but that is your time to shine. They can go play fast. We try not to burden them or bog them down with a bunch of craziness. If you've got coaches that can think that way, you're ahead of the game. Give me a score. Bills, Jags.
Ooh, score. Let's go Bills 28, Jacksonville 17. Kind of a, I'm looking for the Bills to show something on defense. Now, I'm sitting there saying, could it be a shootout? Of course. But I'm looking for the Bills defense to come through a little bit. I'm thinking the running game is going to come through. The Bills can get the ball, control it, be smart, score good, have good quality drives. That's what I'd like to see. Because this Jags defense is real. So 28-17. How about you?
I think the elite in this sport rise up in a moment like this. Josh Allen goes sicko mode. James Cook has a big day. Bills 30, Jags 20.
Okay, we like it.
I won't put you on the spot with a score on all these games because you know what? We have to do our predictions that go along.
Yeah, scores are tricky right now. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I
got me on that one, but
kind of pull that out of you. So, well, I won't hold your feet to the fire on all these games. All right, let's move on to where next. I mean, Rams Panthers.
Quick.
That's the first one.
Here's what
the Saturday morning slot.
Yeah, here's what jumps out, Tyler, for me with Carolina. And when I'm telling you, I think they're kind of garbage. I don't think he's the right quarterback. 27th points per play on offense. 26th yards per play offense. 25th offense third down conversions. This is bottom. You're drafting top 10 usually with those numbers on offense. This is not a team that's ready to beat a Super Bowl team like the Rams, who are just on all cylinders, legit offense, defense. I'm looking at it. You can give me any score here. The Rams should roll unless weather comes into play in Carolina. I'm not into Bryce Young, not into Carolina. Good story. Don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like we have to put like goggles on and have these big backpacks and become archaeologists to try to figure out how in the hell the Carolina Panthers beat this team. Like go back in time and like dig up old. Like, how did that happen? How does that happen? I guess one time.
Long season.
It's a little Giants. It just took one time.
Long seasons.
But the talent gap is jarring. Between the two. I'm not as down on the Panthers roster maybe as you watching. Now, granted, the NFC South, every team finished below 500. The NFC North, every team finished above 500. So they won the division. It was a bad division. They needed Tampa Bay to completely fall apart. I like Derek Brown stopping the run. I like Ted McMillan. He's a player. And they got hosed by the refs in that Bucs game. You know, maybe if a call or two go their way, they win it. And we're talking about a 9-8 team versus an 8-9 team. Yeah, I want to believe in Bryce Young. I want to believe that he's got this elusiveness, this escapability, this sixth sense to feel the rush, and these comebacks. Maybe there's something to that. But then you look up and throwing for more than 200 yards is a chore for this quarterback in this offense. The Rams are going to be able to get a lead, force Bryce Young to throw. I can't see him keeping up with the Rams as 10.5-point favorites. I think they are.
Yeah. Be okay laying that. That's a lot of points, but all right, next. Okay. Let's go Green Bay, Chicago.
Move along.
Yeah.
Let's not exhaust.
Yeah. Green Bay, Chicago. I want to hear your takes on this one. I believe it or not, this game is a coin flip for me. I wouldn't bet it if we're going to talk gambling. It's not a game you really want to bet. I'm fascinated by this game. Are the Bears really that good on? Do you think the Bears are good enough on defense?
No, they stink on defense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was my nice way of saying that. I don't. Ryan Poles has spent a few years now building up this defense. They've got a lot of money into that defense. But there's no production.
But they get the turnovers. Like we were just talking about the Bills needing to get a turnover.
Fair point.
And how it doesn't matter if they give up yards.
That's fair.
You got to take the ball away. And I've watched every snap of the Bears this year. It's not a good defense, but they get turnovers. Yeah. And at some point, it's not just luck. It's not just in terms of the turnovers. You know, Romeo Doubs not recovered an onside kick and winning in that fashion. Yeah, I guess it's a little luck. Jackson Dart about to go up 24-7 on the road, gets concussed. And that game, you know, they got a shank punt. You got Brian Dable not going for it at the 1 yard line. Yeah, but the turnovers, creating those, there is something to it, right? Mm-hmm. You've talked about Jordan Love taking chances down the field. He'll probably give them one or two opportunities, pushing the ball, and Chicago just has to make those plays. They know who they are. I think Ben Johnson's going to go for it on all these fourth downs, by the way. He immediately regretted not going for it. Was it 4th and 5? It was like 3rd and 20 after the intentional grounding on Caleb Williams against Detroit in this finale. They get 15. They've got 4th and 5. They punt it, and the camera, I think, caught Ben Johnson on the sideline mouthing, "I should have gone for it," because he knows what he has on defense. They're going to be going for it on 4th down. I think Matt LaFleur will be similarly aggressive. Their defense isn't that great either without Micah Parsons. Run defense, anyways. Yeah. Who makes the play? And we talked about it with McGinn on the podcast there. A guy like Nashawn Wright, for example, who's given up a lot of plays, is pretty limited athletically. But he was the one on that tush push with Jalen Hurts who ripped the ball out. He's got a nose for the ball. They coach it. Like, you can coach this stuff, really, with Dennis Allen. They've done it. That coaching staff is legit. They've got a hell of a staff. So that's what they're going to hang their hat on. And then I guess they'll try to fix the defense in the offseason.
Well, would you say it would be a disappointing season for Chicago if they lost this game? Or not disappointing? Wrong word.
Disheartening,
okay,
I would think. Ben Johnson's a realist. For that series I wrote, I talked to people who know Ben Johnson, and he's been open how hard he's been on Caleb Williams. It was needed, obviously. By the time Thomas Brown, as interim coach, was hard on Caleb, it was too little, too late. So it's been a process, right? Caleb Williams, he has said this to reporters out there. I didn't think the guy even liked me for a while, and Ben Johnson. So that relationship has been months in the works. So there's been progress there. But Ben Johnson being a realist, I think, is going to have where you have the 7-month off season, and the 7th-month off season gives all talking heads an opportunity to bastardize what actually happened in those 17 games and fluff it up, put the lipstick on pigs, all that stuff, right? It's mock drafts and power rankings, and it's a long off season, man, in the NFL. I think Ben Johnson goes the other way. I think Ben Johnson's going to be like, okay, yeah. Like, say, to your point, if they lose this game, you're 11-7. I think Ben Johnson will be like, wow, yes, we were 11-7. Yes, we were division champs. We were damn close to being 7-11, right? Or I should say 6-11, whatever it is. Like, you can point to 4 or 5 games that easily could have gone the other way. Being hypercritical like he is, that's how he'll approach it. Yeah, I think he will be disappointed. He'll like where things are going. A year to establish everything he wants internally. There's a lot to clean out of there, like beyond football stuff, into all areas of Hallis Hall. A lot of issues. Yeah, he was the one uniquely positioned to make a lot of problems go away. So that takes time. But yeah, I think he'll be a realist when he looks at how this season went down, because it's been crazy. I mean, they've been winning games in insane fashion.
That's the proper way to self-scout, is to be extra critical on yourself. I said that weeks ago about Carolina. Like, they need to be extra critical on Bryce Young. Like, you made the playoffs, but you better bring somebody in to challenge him next year, like really challenge him if you're trying to win Super Bowls. Same with, I like hearing that Chicago might have a coach that's going to be extra critical on them, on himself, because those defensive numbers, I saw 23rd points per play, 29th yards per play. Defense, like, that's not winning. Like, Green Bay should win this game, in my opinion. It's never that easy,
right? But
those aren't like Super Bowl contending numbers. I'm into this stuff so much, and that's why I can feel it gives me a quick way to capture this team, to say where they're at. And what they're doing on offense is pretty special in a first season together of a coach and a quarterback.
So yeah, get into that then, Jim. What do you see?
So they're 12th in points per play, 9th in yards per play. Those are right. First year together, that's right on pace, man. That's on pace to be a dominant offense next year. I mean, I'm talking like, you're not stopping these guys. If Caleb keeps progressing and clicking, getting through the first half better, we know he has flaws. But first year together, I can't stress that enough. I think that's so impressive where they're at offensively. It's just funny that they're that bad on defense to think they made those strides, on offense like this. And we talked about Caleb, and I can't wait to watch this game to see where he's at and how he plays in the first half, because we say it every week, but it's a tough way to make a living, but he is so special in critical moments. Like, it's just been, it's must-watch TV.
Down 16 zip. You need 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions. That's condensed space, difficult to convert, and he made it happen.
So
until he didn't.
Right.
Until the intentional grounding.
Hey, still going to have mistakes, still errors, still young, blah, blah, blah. But there's so much to build off of. That's why I like how you said disheartening. That's a better word, not disappointing, because there's too much good to build off of what they did offensively.
What's the bigger issue to you into this Packers-Bears game at the quarterback position? The fact that this is Caleb Williams' first playoff game. I don't know what the stats are on quarterbacks making their first playoff appearance. Young quarterbacks. He's not a rookie. He's in his second year, basically a rookie with Ben Johnson in this offense. Is that a bigger issue, or is it the fact that Jordan Love hasn't played in 2.5 games? They made the calculated decision to rest starters against Minnesota. I loved it for Green Bay because, look, you went into Philly last year in the wild card, really hurting. I think Christian Watson tore his ACL in that last game, and Love was dinged. They're down to Bo Melton and Malik Heath at wide receiver against Philly. So Matt LaFleur didn't want to do that again. And they're going to be healthy. Like, they're going to have Zach Tom and Evan Williams and Christian Watson and Josh Jacobs and everybody they expect to outside of the season enders. But still, is there anything to that rust where Jordan Love he hasn't played since the first part of that Chicago game? And before that, it was the Denver game where they kind of fell apart in the second half. And then it was the other Chicago game before that when he was great. So it's been a while since we've seen Love slinging it all over the field with these receivers. So yes, they're healthy. They're all out there. But he's practicing. That's different than playing in a game, playing in a playoff game. So those two things, like, what would concern you most?
If I'm Green Bay, I'd be almost, I don't want to say frightened, but your offense better look good against this defense. Jordan Love in the offense better not be a problem against Chicago, or else you need to reevaluate Jordan Love, because there's no way this defense should slow down Green Bay's offense. So that, from Green Bay's side, they should feel very confident where they're healthy, like with Love. Let's get in there and score. I know he's the rust. I'm not into that. You're ready to play. That's an excuse.
You don't believe in the rust factor?
No, I think he'll be fine. No excuses. It's a bad defense. Green Bay should score.
I agree on the rust debate.
Okay.
And I go back to 2011. The Packers are 15-1, fresh off a Super Bowl triumph. Aaron Rodgers is the MVP. The defense is giving up yards galore, but they're creating turnovers with Dom Capers. Anyways, what happened? That last game against the Lions, New Year's Day, where Matt Flynn threw for 6 touchdowns. They rested Aaron Rodgers, and then they had the bye week, and then they host the Giants, and the offense was out of sorts. This wasn't the same Packers offense. So maybe there is something to it. We probably wrote it at the time, covering at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, like all this time off, it had to have an effect. But then I think you have to look at all of these situations in a vacuum where, look, that Packers week was unlike any Packers week in most of those players' lives. Joe Philbin, his son, tragically dies, the offensive coordinator who really kind of devised the game plans with Mike McCarthy and did so much behind the scenes. Has an unfathomable tragedy. I can't even wrap my head around what he went through right then. So he's not there. And Aaron Rodgers, a lot of these players are really close to Joe. I can never forget Rodgers at his locker, like getting the suit and tie on, about to go to the first funeral he's ever been to in his life. If I remember correctly, he had never even been to a funeral before. And he's going that Friday before a Sunday game. You can't tell me that doesn't affect something psychologically into this playoff game. So that had an effect. The Giants' pass rush was special, as we eventually saw them win a second Super Bowl against Tom Brady. That has an effect. Yeah, the Russ thing. It's not like Jordan Love is going out there. I mean, we don't know what's going on in his personal life this week, but dealing with something like that. I mean, he just found out he's going to be a dad, so he's got that dad strength, that dad power, and then also this Chicago defense is not exactly the New York Giants 2011 defense. So I'm with you. I think Jordan Love has a big day. The Bears are going to have a big day on the ground. Like as well as Caleb has played late in these games, they're going to try to run the ball down Green Bay's throat. They saw what Derrick Henry did, and they might. And it's a matter of like Green Bay's quick strike ability, Jordan Love going downfield, taking advantage of things against that secondary. And Chicago, they're going to try to bleed the clock and shorten the game and only give them a handful of possessions. I don't know. I'm with you. I think it comes down to the last drive.
Yeah, Packers, Bears, classic. Quarterbacks make. Yeah, you're right. Who's going to make the turnover? Big play, last drive, classic.
All right, what do we have next?
San Fran.
Well, we hit on Bills, Jags, so let's go to San Fran, Philly.
Initial thought on this game, it's Philly's game to win. I just don't see a team. San Fran is 24th in yards per play on defense. Like, I know Philly's offense is straight average. We've talked about it. But
I thought you were going with a different A word there.
Well, that's Shady. That's Shady McCoy when he talks about Dak Prescott. For some reason, he's got like some issue with Dak. But anyway, this is Philly's time on offense to be rock solid, beat this defense up. We know the Eagles defense. We know Purdy turns the ball over. I see this being a Philly game. And I like Purdy and I like the 49ers. I just don't think the 49ers are good enough on defense to expose Philly's offense.
I have to find the podcast. We had the man who found Brock Purdy once upon a time on the pod that you worked with.
Mr. Dave Bowler.
Dave Bowler, right? Yeah. Yeah, so he knew there was something to
and I like Purdy
Brock
too.
Purdy, and
I just think this is a tough spot for them. Just built on.
Wasn't good enough for Syracuse though. Remember, Syracuse turned him down.
That didn't get as much. I thought that would get a little more up here in Western New York. Some more play.
Yeah, Purdy was in tears. Dave told us, right? Like in the car, crying. That's where he wanted to go. Goes to Iowa State, lights it up, sets records. Last player picked in the draft, beats out the third overall pick they traded everything for. He's been statistically as good as any quarterback in the NFL this season, the last half when he's been on the field, up until that Seattle game when they manufactured all of 3 points. And Philly's defense isn't Seattle's defense, but man, I kind of like Philly in this game too, Jim. I don't know where hope is for San Francisco's D. And Jalen Hurts has had his issues, and A.J. Brown, and there's relationship stuff going on, and their offense can just like completely die. I mean, they just die in some of these games. Didn't complete a pass in 2 second halves this year. But against San Francisco, I mean, they should be able.
That's what I'm saying.
They should be able, right?
Yeah, that's how I look at that. This is your week to get right. Now this is all right. The next game, are you good on that game? We both like Philly.
Yeah, I think so. I
just don't see it with the Niners with the defense. All right, this is the game. Chargers, New England.
You know what I think about Drake May?
And you were dead on.
He's the MVP of the league, and I think that he lights it up.
I gave you a Tony Soprano, take it easy. When you said it early in the season, I need to see more, and you were dead on. He maintained it, and he was right in a conversation if he wins it or not, whatever. But this game to me is about Herbert. I don't know if there's a quarterback I'm tired of hearing about more than Justin Herbert. I know he's the toughest player in the history of football. I know he's the greatest player in the history of football. He has never done anything. Really. He hasn't done anything really in college either. Like, it's time for this guy that I keep hearing about, and I do like Herbert. But I think this is a chance for the Chargers to pull one off.
Do tell.
I think because of coaching, not that he's going to outcoach Vrabel, but this is a battle-tested type. I just like Harbaugh's demeanor with these types of games. He's going to know how to get down and dirty and get into this game and win it the appropriate way, which is going to be on their defense. Because their offense, which we know the Chargers offense led by Mr. Greg Roman, who I still don't know how he just keeps getting jobs, but he does. And Harbaugh loves them. They go way back. So coaches have loyalty. But I'm looking at 25. I'm looking at 25th in points per play on offense. I'm looking at 21st in yards per play from this great offense. That's garbage. So the Chargers are actually a better defensive team, which I'm think is finally going to test. Not finally. Let me take that back. Which is going to really test Drake May in the playoffs. This is different football now. This is a different beast coming at May. He's going to see things he hasn't seen. So I think this is a chance where the Chargers defense gets put on the map a little bit, because we always talk about this quarterback that never does anything. How about you show up, Herbert, play a clean game, don't turn the ball over, let the defense outplay the young quarterback for New England and pull one off on the road. So I'm going Chargers upset. Nothing against New England. Love to see the team. Defense is good. Offense, May's right on everything, Tyler. Everything you said on May, he doesn't get phased. He does not get phased on big moments. He answers. He comes back from bad plays. He answers it. I mean, he has shown everything you want to see. I just think there's more to come. I think the playoffs are tricky. I think the Chargers pull one off.
You know what? There always is something to it being a quarterback's time. Like, it's now or never for Justin Herbert. If he loses this game, granted it's on the road, you're the 7 seed. The Patriots are more talented. They've got the MVP, but you're the quarterback that's been in this spot. You're paid handsomely. You've got another coach in there. You've got a run game. You've got a defense. New England, I forget where exactly they rank, but really they had one of the easiest schedules that we've ever seen. That doesn't mean they're not good, though. That's the thing. Like, they're blowing these teams out, and that's maybe it's Herbert's time. Maybe you need to be battle tested, but just look at some of these scores that they've won. I mean, your Carolina Panthers 42-13, Titans 31-13, Browns 32-13. That's Jim Schwartz. Giants 33-15. Jets 42-10, Dolphins 38-10. Like, yeah, it's a weak schedule, but they also humiliate all of these teams.
I'm not
like, yeah. They go out there and they kick your ass.
I'm really not trying to.
They get people fired.
And I'm not trying to take. You're right. I'm not trying to even take anything away from the Patriots and what they are, where they're at. They're legit.
Yeah.
I just think this is like we were talking about. I think this is going to be a Herbert moment. Finally, I was joking about has never done anything, but he really hasn't, and it's time.
And he has been sacked 47 times, so maybe that's a spot like you can get after him. I just love his makeup, man. I love how he approaches the profession. He wanted Josh McDaniels hard coaching. I mean, you know, it's wild. Brian Fitzpatrick had this clip kind of going back to Brian Flores's finish with Miami and how ugly it was, just kind of reminding everybody, like, he burned every bridge in Miami, because there'll be a lot of Flores hype, and he's going to be up for these interviews, as he should. His defense with Minnesota was phenomenal at times. But I heard the same thing about Flores, and he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, not just Tua. And I heard a lot of the same things about Josh McDaniels in Vegas. I mean, he would just undress you in these team meetings, like just tear you a new one. And the modern athlete, it's a tricky balance. I mean, I think DeMeco Ryans nails it. He's hard on guys as a former player, loves you up to. He threads that needle. It's a hard balance, because you can't go full laissez-faire, full lackadaisical country club environment. Like, it's got to be a balance, and it's got to be authentic. And so I wasn't really sure. Okay, he's going back to New England, and he had Tom Brady forever, He's got his offense. You're literally watching these Tom Brady clips with Drake May and saying, this is what we're running. This is what you have to do. It's not, I don't believe that it's strictly a pure progression left to right. He wants him to read coverages, which is tough, or at least read space. You know what I mean? Like just really be able to see where the weakness is in the defense versus just looking at your guys because he has all of the answers. That's difficult. You know, TC McCartney, his quarterbacks coach as a rookie, was awesome talking to him. You know, as a rookie year, like they worked on fundamentals and footwork and all this stuff he didn't have to do at North Carolina. But you know, they didn't ask him to do that stuff. So he's like, man, I love Drake. This is back a while ago. He was thinking, I love Drake, but this is tougher. Like this offense, like it might take a year or two. And also they need more weapons. And then we caught up again and he's like, yeah, he's there. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. It happened faster than even I could have imagined. I don't see him losing this playoff game. Right. Even if he's sacked 4 or 5 times, I see Drake May, the MVP of the league, willing his team to a win at home. That place is going to be jacked. You know, they were able to figure out their run game. Travion Henderson no longer haunted by the demons atop his bedroom ceiling. Holy shit, that was crazy hearing that story. He's coming on. Ramondre Stevens had a nice game last week. They combined for 1,500 yards on the ground. Remember, early in the year, they couldn't run the ball. I mean, even the games they lost, Jim, like they lost to the Raiders in week 1. Week 1 always lies to you. The Steelers, they had 5 turnovers and they lost by a score. And then the Bills, they were up 21-0 and blew it. I mean, those are the 3 games that they lost. So
no, it's an incredible season. It makes, to your point, this would be where I'm looking at it, where Herbert's moment, May wins this game, that way ahead of schedule, what you're talking about. I mean, this weekend can flip so much where the Bills could lose and the Patriots could win, and we have completely, the division has changed. Like just like that, the Patriots have taken over the Buffalo's quick little, post Brady, when Belichick had to actually coach. It's funny, like it's funny to see how things could, that's how big this weekend can be for teams where you're either, the Bills can beat Jacksonville, everything's fine, you're right on cue, go to the AFC. Chargers could pull off an upset in New England. That's okay. New England would be upset, obviously, but they know they are just fine. But New England wins this game way ahead of schedule.
That's the beauty of the postseason. It
Agreed.
really is. Everything is magnified.
Yes, this is where everything matters. I say it all the time. Nobody cares about the regular season. Nobody. That's for stats.
You got to make that 44% club, get in. And that, when all of these coaches and all of these quarterbacks, like they know, like I am being judged by what I do these 60 snaps of a football game if I'm the quarterback. Like, and really, they what you just said is perfect. Regular season, who gives a damn?
Stats.
It's about now. So like, who can handle that, right? Whose heart rate is going to spike uncontrollably in the big moment, and whose heart rate is going to stay laser beamed. That 13 seconds game with Patrick Mahomes, he was hooked up with the GPS monitor, and like you could literally see like his heart rate in those moments. And toward the end of that game, when all chaos is breaking out and you would think he's freaking out, it was like flow state, just chilling. He was fine. Just goes out there, completes those 2 passes that are now immortalized in NFL history to both extremes with both franchises. And if I were a betting man, I'd say Drake May is more wired like that than, what would be the inverse? Who's a quarterback that gets in these moments and falls apart?
The guy we always talk about right now is Darnold. We'll get
into him next week, I'm sure,
right?
But that's the unknown, right? Like there's something to it. It's not just a hot take. Like there is something to it. And Herbert has to show that he can deliver in the playoffs.
Goodness. I'm a little bitter with Herbert too, because I have to say this. This is fair. I was invested in that playoff game that he absolutely they blew a couple years ago against Trevor Lawrence. They were up like 28-0, I believe. It was some crazy score. Herbert was up and blew it.
How could we forget?
Okay,
that
so
game?
that's why I do have a little.
Let's pull it up right now.
Can you do something, please? Like, it's a time to win. It's time to do something in the postseason. That's why I'm a little where I'm at with him.
27-0. You know what kind of gets a little forgotten in that game is Cam Dicker. He had a 23-yard field goal to make it 20. It was 24-0. Could have been easily 31-0. Instead, it's 27-0.
What was the field goal?
With 4 minutes left in the
how long?
23-yard field goal.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. Now you're making me relive it now.
I know. I'm gonna help. I'm gonna just torture you.
23-yard field goal. Grown men.
But then what happens after that? There's a little time for Trevor Lawrence and the gang. They go down. They score a touchdown. It's 27-7 at halftime.
Embarrassing.
And then, but I forgot this. That Dicker did kick a 50-yarder to make it 30-14 with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. So even then,
they were still up.
It should have been over. Zay Jones, 39-yard touchdown. Christian Kirk touchdown. Jags field goal. That was the game, right? There was a big fourth down late in that game, and they called that wide run with ETN. It was kind of a ballsy play call, if I remember, where to call anything wide on fourth and short, like they just knew everybody was kind of stuffed in the middle.
That's right, caught him off. You're right.
Yeah. But Herbert, what was Herbert's numbers that game? He was 25 of 43, 273, touchdown. Trevor Lawrence threw 4 picks. I totally forgot that part of it. He gave you the ball 4 times, and you couldn't win that if you're Justin Herbert. It's
hard. That's like, it's impossible almost. Yeah, that's where we're at. Herbert's time versus May ahead of schedule.
So you're putting money down on the Chargers is what you're telling me.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to take those 3.5. That's a nice number in that game, I think. That could be a field goal game. Good defenses.
Houston, Pittsburgh, Monday night. The Texans are going to pulverize the Steelers, Jim. I don't see a world in which Pittsburgh strings together touchdown drives. Oh, you're wagging your finger at me. Oh, Jim, I just wrote 10,000 words on the Texans defense. Come on now. They're going to get it done. They want to be an all-time unit. They're facing a 67-year-old Aaron Rodgers who can't move. Of course they're going to eat him alive, right?
So I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm pretty sure we did a podcast that we fired Tomlin, the whole organization.
Oh, I know.
Everything was done. The Steelers have to reset. Everything's done. Okay. Here we are.
Purgatory.
All right, here we are in the playoffs because that's what they do. They somehow can dirty it up, muddy it up every week, get you to play to their level, however they do. I believe they're getting a weapon back this week at receiver, if I'm not mistaken, in DK Metcalf. I also dug into some study the stat numbers and see that the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is 11th in points per play, which is incredible for a Pittsburgh Steelers offense. It doesn't happen. Their offense is actually decent. It's okay. Their defense is okay. It's not great like it used to be. So we're not getting the typical Steeler offense. It's a little bit better than pass. Defense isn't as dominant, but still good. Tyler, this Houston team terrifies me on offense. I don't know if they're ready to take this step in Pittsburgh, which I know was crazy the other night, but honestly, their kicker should have made his extra point. I know they got their break because Baltimore missed their kick, but make your extra point. Anyway, point being is you get in, you have Rodgers. This is his last, we knew this was going to be, we talked about this before the year. He's only doing this for this reason. And he never seems to deliver in the postseason. You've talked about this your whole career almost. And you've had all the, you have the evidence to back it up. Tyler, I think the Steelers are going to get this one. Another upset for me. I'm taking Pittsburgh at home again. Good spot for the Steelers against an offense I just don't believe in. I just can't get into this Houston offense.
Hey, it's fair. Look, they don't have a good offensive line. They've kind of just been getting by. The running game has been a little better the last
Agreed.
3-4 weeks.
Could save them.
Okay, like Woody Marks and was it Jordan? They kind of Nick Chubb. I'm sorry if you're relying on Nick Chubb to carry the ball 10 to 15 times. Probably not a good thing. Let me pull up those numbers real quick on there.
But
they haven't lost in forever. The Texans haven't lost since November 2nd. So yeah, I think there it is. Jawar Jordan.
Yeah.
I like Stroud's deep ball. I think that if they can at least entice a Steelers DB into the box, they're susceptible deep. You saw it when things were teeter-tottering like crazy at the end of that Ravens Steelers AFC North de facto championship. Like they can be had if he has time. And I don't think you don't need much out of your offense. They got up 14-0 against the Chargers, and it's like, okay, you can sit on it. You can rely on your pass rush. They're going to be in attack mode. There's nothing fancy.
You can already picture this game out in your head. You can play the game out already. It's Monday night, correct? The game. It's going to be. There's going to be a Rodgers. There's going to be an interception early. He's going to get hit. He's going to yell at a teammate. He's going to look disoriented. It's going to look like Houston's going to win by 30. Next thing you know, you're going to wake up because you fell asleep. You're going to wake up. It's the fourth quarter, 5 minutes ago. Somehow the Steelers just got an onside kick. Whatever it's going to be. Some ball popped up. TJ Watt fell on it. I mean, it's every week. And then Rodgers are trying to make a play. I'm just done. I'm going with my theme right now is this weekend is Stafford, Josh Allen, Herbert, your time. I'm going with the quarterback's time to shine. Jalen Hurts, get right this week offensively. Eagles, get right against this defense. The Green Bay Chicago game, which quarterback is going to take their team? That's how I look at that game. All quarterbacks this weekend for me almost always is. I want to see who's going to shine. I think Aaron Rodgers shines a little bit more than Stroud in this game.
But this Texans defense, though, is different. It's the best defense in football. It's suffocating. I know they've given up a few big plays, Riley Leonard, but Kamari Lassiter isn't on the field. And holy hell, talking to him was a lot of fun. He sounds like Richard Sherman's long-lost nephew. These guys, they grew up on the Legion of Boom. It was funny. I was talking to Matt Birkin, the D coordinator. I think he's 49. I'm 38. And we're like, wow, we feel really old. All this entire defense grew up watching Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. And they're a defense that is allowed to play the same way. Downhill, no overthinking, play through the echo of the whistle. Azeez Al-Shire has that hit on Trevor Lawrence. He's public enemy number one. He's Darth Vader, Voldemort, all rolled up into one. Pick your villain. And they double down. They triple down. He says he's not going to change his style. The GM calls John Runnion's letter, which really villainized Shire as bullshit. D'Amico Ryan says, hey, look, these quarterbacks are trying to get a couple extra yards. We got to treat him as a runner. I just love that inflection point of like, they could go on the apology tour and change the way they approach everything as a defense, and they don't. They lean into who they are, for better or worse. I mean, they might have a huge penalty and a huge moment in this game. But for everything that Aaron Rodgers is doing so well right now, using his brain, I mean, the end of that Ravens game, that's about as great as Aaron Rodgers has looked since 2021, because he wasn't that good in 22 with the Packers. Really, I mean, having command of the line of scrimmage, seeing the cornerback fall down, throwing the touchdown to Calvin Austin. I mean, look who's around. Pat Fryermuth, Calvin Austin, Kenneth Gainwell. Look, yeah, I've been critical of Aaron Rodgers. He was spectacular. Whoever's missing kicks, he was vintage in that second half, that fourth quarter. uses his brain. The arm is still strong, but what has he lost? Mobility. And I don't care what Arthur Smith dials up, quick drops, your boy Artie, quick drops, running the ball, dumping it off to these backs. I mean, they'll have screens galore, I'm sure, to try to take advantage of this front that wants to attack. Like they want to kill you. They call themselves savages for a reason. I still see them eating up an immobile quarterback at his age. I don't know. I think Stroud does enough. I like Stroud's chances hitting a couple big plays against that Pittsburgh secondary way more than I like Aaron Rodgers at this point of his career with what he does well and what he doesn't do well, having success against the best defense in football.
I would agree with you. That's actually logical. Mine makes no sense because nothing in Pittsburgh with their games don't ever make sense.
True.
That's how I'm doing it. So I'm done trying to figure it out. I'm going to roll with it.
No, they do. I mean, Cam Hayward, he's talked about this in this space. Like they muck these games up. There is an art to the filth. There is an art to the blocked kicks and the 4th and 1 stops, and like he's the one in the middle making these plays, tipping balls. Like he won them the game against New England I referenced earlier. I don't want to just write that off. I mean, Cam Hayward got them 14 points. New England is at the goal line twice, and he's making the plays that change that game. He should be a Hall of Famer, really. I know we have that debate all the time. I feel like Cam Hayward is a Hall of Famer. TJ Watt isn't the same TJ Watt, but he was there for the pick in a big-time spot. I don't know. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be everything we love about football.
I like all these matchups. Good.
Yeah. It's going to be great. Any final thoughts, Jim Onis?
No, I want to say final thought would be, what is the fallout if Buffalo loses for the people for us that live here in Western New York? We pay so much attention to the Bills, but that's kind of what would the fallout be? That's my last thought for would it be, I guess it's how the game would look for the Bills, but if they lose, would anything happen? I don't think so, but that's kind of where I'm at with just my last thought. Would anything happen?
Everything's magnified in January for good reason. Right. Like this is, if you're a team that's been winning division titles and winning 10, 11, 12 games, great. You're here. You've arrived. You've got the quarterback. But look, way back in 2021 with 13 seconds and losing that opportunity at really hoisting that Vince Lombardi trophy and having the parade down Delaware Ave, that was the team out of any team that would have, should have, could have absolutely 100% won the Super Bowl. And they didn't. And at that time, hell, we might have even talked about it on the pod. I don't remember. It could have been a Doug Collins, Phil Jackson situation, right? We've got this special talent, this MVP. And let's be bold. If you're Terry Pagula, let's make a move. Let's get an offensive mind in there. Who's going to deliver in those moments? They didn't. And I get it. Like 17-year playoff drought, bringing in respectability. You hired him. I mean, you know everything that Sean McDermott brings. It would have been tough at that point to do it. And then it would have been tough in 22 with Damar Hamlin dying on a field and coming back to life. I mean, they were on fumes as a team, right? There was bigger stuff than football going on down the stretch. 2023, I don't know. Somebody wrote a few articles about the Bills, and Sean McDermott and him may or may not be the problem. I don't know who that was. I don't know what website they work for. They were 6-6 at the time. They get hot. They go on a run. They come within a missed field goal of tying up the Chiefs in the divisional playoff round at home. Maybe that's a team that could have won it. And I get it being tough at that point to make a move. And then 2024, you get to the AFC Championship. You're 4th and 5 away from winning that game. But the through line is not getting those stops on defense. I guess I'm filibustering. I don't know. I don't know what Terry Pagula is thinking. But it's a conversation worth having.
That's all.
I mean, look, you look back at, give me a second here, Jim. I mean, I wrote this last year.
Well, yeah, I caught you on that one.
So no, here it is. I mean, This is what I wrote after they lost the AFC Championship game. This stat actually originally came from McGinn when we were talking about Matt LaFleur going into year 7. I said maybe McDermott's Bills do break through, but it's also true that Andy Reid only won a Super Bowl after leaving Philadelphia. That's right, because that's the name that Sean will bring up. Like, look, Andy was at the door banging away, but he had to get to another team to do it, right? Like, he didn't win one in Philly after all those years. He gets to Kansas City. He's there for a while before he wins it. So I wrote, Reid was the Eagles' boss for 14 years and then the Chiefs' boss for 7. McDermott enters year 9 as the Bills' boss in 2025. And the list of head coaches in NFL history who have won a Super Bowl title this deep into their tenure with the team, with the same team, is historically short. 3 have done it. Bill Cowher won a Super Bowl in his 14th year with Pittsburgh in 2005. Tom Landry won it all in his 12th year with the Dallas Cowboys in 1971. Hank Stram won it all in his 10th year with the Kansas City Chiefs in 1969. That's all. The collection of coaches who have lasted 9 seasons in one place and never won a Super Bowl is much longer and includes names such as Don Coryell in San Diego, 9 seasons. Bart Starr in Green Bay, 9 seasons. Marty Schottenheimer in Kansas City, 10. Bud Grant in Minnesota, 18. Jason Garrett in Dallas, 10. Wayne Fonts in Detroit, 9. John Robinson with the LA Rams, 9. Dennis Green in Minnesota, 10. Jim Mora in New Orleans, 11. Chuck Knox in Seattle, 9. Marvin Lewis in Seattle, 16. And, of course, Marv Levy in Buffalo, 12. All coaches in the second bucket enjoyed division titles, even Super Bowl appearances. None of the above, however, hoisted the Lombardi Trophy. My point is, it's a conversation you have to have. You had the conversation. I'm not saying what's right, what's wrong.
Yeah.
It's if you look at history, you have that conversation in that particular hypothetical. And this is all on the heels of us both saying that the Bills have the talent to get to the Super Bowl.
I think they can win it. Right.
So, we're not being gloom and doom. It's just that's the variance that is very real.
That's all
for the Bills. So no pressure. No pressure down there in Duval County, Buffalo. McDermott and the gang. Look, he's done a hell of a job. They've had injuries. They've figured out a way to win these games. There's something to instilling real belief in your players. He got into that all when we sat down in his office exactly 1 year ago. I think he understands. I've got to be bold. I've got to show belief in my players for them in those moments to instinctually make those plays. And they have more often than not. Winning cures all, but it all comes down to this. It does. Because look, Jacksonville, they've got an offensive-minded guy in Liam Cohen getting the most out of Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. Conversation for a later pod. If it gets to that point, who would it be? Right? You're only making that move if there's somebody better out there. Everybody should tune in 1:00 Sunday in Jacksonville. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Real Football. Thank you, everybody out there. As always, totally fueled by our readers, viewers, listeners. No ads, no sponsors. That's the way we want it here. Completely independent. And man, what a joy it's been, Jim, to have you back at Go Long. I think everybody benefited from you chiming in there with the recaps. Love that. Open invite to write anytime you want. The comedy is the best part when you're throwing in a dig here and there. Makes me laugh, makes everybody laugh. Those are great. The pod's been great. And it also, I love it too. It kind of freed me up to get a little extra time to write that Jordan Poyer feature in this Texans series. So everybody wins. Most of all our readers. So thank you. We'll catch you next time, everyone.